pierce their own hearts, and their bows will be broken. Better the little that the righteous have than the wealth of many wicked. For the power of the wicked will be broken, but the Lord upholds the righteous. The blameless spend their days under the Lord's care, and their inheritance will endure forever. In times of disaster they will not wither. In times of famine they will enjoy plenty, but the wicked will perish. Though the Lord's enemies are like the flowers of the field, they will be consumed. They will go up in smoke. The wicked borrow and do not repay, but the righteous give generously. Those the Lord blesses will inherit the land, but those he curses will be destroyed. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. I was young and now I'm old, yet I've never seen the righteous forsaken, or their children begging bread. They're always generous and lend freely. Their children will be a blessing. Turn from evil and do good. Then you will dwell in the land forever, for the Lord loves the just and will not forsake his faithful ones. Wrongdoers will be completely destroyed. The offspring of the wicked will perish. The righteous will inherit the land and dwell in it forever. The mouths of the righteous utter wisdom, and their tongues speak what is just. The law of their God is in their hearts. Their feet do not slip. The wicked lie in wait for the righteous, intent on putting them to death, but the Lord will not leave them in the power of the wicked, or let them be condemned when brought to trial. Hope in the Lord and keep his way. He will exalt you to inherit the land. When the wicked are destroyed, you will see it. I've seen a wicked and ruthless man flourishing like a luxuriant native tree, but he soon passed away and was no more. Though I looked for him, he could not be found. Consider the blameless. Observe the upright. A future awaits those who seek peace, but all sinners will be destroyed. There will be no future for the wicked. The salvation of the righteous comes from the Lord. He is their stronghold in time of trouble. The Lord helps them and delivers them. He delivers them from the wicked and saves them because they take refuge in him. There are four themes that rotate throughout this psalm. And the first theme is one that makes us uncomfortable, I know, but it's simply this: evil sometimes wins. Evil people sometimes win. The very beginning of the psalm says, don't fret when evil people find success. Don't fret when the wicked people find success, because it happens. It's just the way the world works. Evil people sometimes win. Life is pain, Your Highness. Anyone who tells you something differently is selling something. Life isn't fair, your mom told you. Sometimes the bad guys win. Our struggle is that when we come to God, quite often we want to ask the question of why. Why, God? And this psalm doesn't give us an answer for why they succeed, but it tells us what we should do. Next, it says, worry and wrath lead me to evil too. The very beginning of the psalm says, don't fret when this happens, because worry and wrath, it just leads to your own evil too. If I get to that place where I begin to say, God, why are you letting these evil people win? And God, why don't you bless me the way you bless other people? And why do bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people? If I get into that frame of mind, that place, I'm going to try to push into areas where God hasn't opened the door, and that's me doing my own evil. Next, the third theme is that delight and trust in God will not fall flat. Verse 4 says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Delight and trust in God will not fall flat. And why? The end result is this, the fourth theme, because ultimately God will make everything right. Ultimately God will make everything right. You take these four themes together, and we get a picture that yes, bad is in the world. And yes, I shouldn't enter into the same kind of bad. Instead, I should flip it. I should delight and trust in God, because if I do that, I will eventually come out on top, because God eventually wins. But there's something happening here in this verse. See, I want to illustrate this for you. This verse is telling us a sequence of events, okay? God is in charge, okay? The wicked will lose. Even for a time, they might win. They will lose. And those who delight in God will reap the benefits, okay? So God is in charge. The wicked will lose, and those who delight and trust in God will reap the benefits. Very clear. But what happens in between the first two stages? See, we're stuck in between stage 1 and 2. God is in charge, yes, but the wicked have not yet been judged. And so we have not yet fully reaped the benefits. The kingdom of God has not come to the earth yet. So what do we do in the in-between time? God is in charge, and now we're here before the wicked have been judged. What do we do? Well, look at verse 7. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Flip to the end of that psalm. Verse 39 gives us this great confidence. The salvation of the righteous comes from the Lord. He's their stronghold in time of trouble. The Lord helps them and delivers them. He delivers them from the wicked and saves them because they take refuge in him. The word refuge is an actively inactive word. It's a word where I have to intentionally choose to do nothing. See, refuge is not a word that you say while you're holding a sword. Refuge is not a word that you say when you're on the front lines. Refuge is the word for when you are holding a shovel because you just finished digging a hole and you're in it. Refuge is the word when you're in the cave in the mountain and the door has just been shut. Refuge is the word that says, I can't win, but I know where it's safe. Be still, he says. It's a countercultural expression of worship for me to just let God be God. And to say, if he hasn't moved yet, no one has to move yet. If he hasn't judged the wicked yet, I don't have to judge the wicked either. If he hasn't exerted his wrath, I don't need to exert my wrath. If God hasn't moved, I don't need to move either. I can be still. In fact, this is the way I would phrase it. I encourage you to write this down. In the midst of a wicked world, we worship God with delight and patient trust. Delight and patient trust. The world around us is crazy, it's wicked, it's bad. There's all kinds of bad stuff that happens. But in the midst of it, I can just let God be God. And I can be still. And there's an attitude in the heart that is precious to God. In fact, I'm going to take you to a couple other Psalms here and just show you how this same concept plays out. Flip over to 46. Psalm 46. It's a little shorter than the one we just read. This one's not by David. It's by a group of guys called the Sons of Korah. But we're actually told this one is a song. It's not just a poem. It's supposed to be sung to the tune of Alamot. And I don't know what Alamot is. I've never heard it. But if I knew it, I would sing it, but I don't know it, so I can't. But it is a song. The Sons of Korah wrote this. And it says this, God is our refuge. There's that word again. And strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way, and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. What he's saying here in the first few verses is that it's not just about when the wicked win, it's about the fact that natural disasters are all around us. Even if the mountains were to fall into the sea, even though the sea rages and swirls and twirls and comes on land, even though there's natural disasters all over the place, we're not going to fear. Because God's in charge. Because God's our refuge. And then the next section, it says, there's a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. That just simply is saying that there is nature doing its right thing when God is nearby. The river that leads to the place where God is, that river makes people glad. There's no natural disasters with that river. See, when God's involved, nature does its job right. It does its job well. It brings joy and healing. And it says this, verse 5, God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of day. When God is present, things work. But now check out this next verse. Verse 6, nations are in uproar. Kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice. The earth melts. And this is drawing for us the picture of the fact that in the world around us, politicians are in uproar. Kingdoms, nations, there's economic disaster, there's political upheaval, there's all kinds of craziness. And yet God just has to open his mouth and the whole earth melts. So he's not worried so much about, what the politicians are saying. He's not so much worried about what the next election is going to do. Because see, God can just open his mouth and everything around us will just melt. He's kind of powerful that way. The Lord Almighty, here it is, verse 7, is with us. The God who can speak the world into liquid is the God who's with us. The God who makes nature do its job right is the God who's with us. The God who isn't fazed by economies and political systems is with us. The God of Jacob, it says, is our fortress. Verse 8, come and see what the Lord has done, the desolations he's brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. Our God is so big and powerful, he can take wars that cover the entire earth and shut them down. Verse 10, so he says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. See, if God is that strong, that powerful, that amazing, and if he is with us, what's left to be done? If he's here with me, and he's my fortress, and he's protecting me from all the craziness out there, then do I need to leave his presence to go fight some battle? Do I need to jump out there and get into the war? Do I need to do something? Or should I just be still and know he's in charge? And for whatever reason, he has chosen not to act yet, but he's with me. And I can be still. See, there's an attitude of worship that says, if God really is that powerful, then I really don't need to do anything.